These are 7 advanced tips that will help you win way more games in college football 26. My name is Spruce, and I run the #1 college football coaching site where I help over 1,000 players just like yourself win more games. In this video, I'm sharing with you guys my 7 favorite high-level gameplay tips from our film room and metabuster sections at PlaybookProfessor.gg. Our members have been using these tips for weeks or months now to win more games, and now I want to share these tips with all of you guys as well. So if that sounds good to you, then let's get started. We're breaking down a secret hot route glitch that's going to allow you to make hot routes that shouldn't otherwise be possible. Now, this glitch was initially found in Madden, but it works here in college football as well, and so I want to make sure everyone is aware of it so that you can have all the hot routes you could ever imagine at your disposal. Now, in order for this to work, we need to find a play that has a receiver on a pre-snap auto motion. And so this play right here has our inside trips receiver on the right side on this auto motion wheel route, which makes this perfect for us. And I'll quickly go into the play call screen and show you guys the play that we're in. But a lot of playbooks, probably most playbooks in the game, have some kind of play where a receiver is on auto motion pre-snap. In this case, we're in the formation gun trips, and the play is motion wheelies. So that's what we're going to call for offense. We'll just put the defense in cover 3 sky for now. Now, before we actually do any hot routing, the thing that you need to know is when you flip your play out on the field, you need to know which receiver is going to end up on the auto motion, and we'll see why in just a second. And so I'm just going to go ahead and flip the play real quick. What we're going to see is after we flip the play, for me, it is the RB receiver who ends up on the auto motion. And so whatever play you choose, you need to make sure you go into practice mode and you understand who will end up on the auto motion after you flip the play out on the field. And so now that we know that, we can do the hot route glitch. And so what this hot route glitch is going to allow us to do is make inverted hot routes. And by inverted, what I mean is that hot routes that go in the opposite direction from what they're supposed to go. And so, for example, let's take my A receiver and let's say I put him on a slot fade. Well, slot fades break to the outside. An inverted slot fade would break to the inside. And so that might sound kind of weird, but let me show you guys what it's going to look like. All we have to do is a little trick where we flip the play, and before you know it, now we have a slot fade breaking to the inside. It is obviously our inside trips receiver on the left side this time. And so let's talk about how I made this slot fade. Well, all you have to do is when you flip your play, the player who will end up on the auto motion, so for me it's going to be the RB receiver, you just hot route him onto whatever route that you want to be inverted. And you have to do it before he crosses the center. And so in this case, he is on the right side. We have to make the hot route while he's still on the right side of the center. Once he crosses to the left side of the center, it's going to be too late. And so I'm going to go ahead and do it again. So we're going to flip the play, and while they're motioning, quickly hot route him onto a slot fade. And now we have this inverted slot fade right here. And so you may be saying, well, when would I even want to use a route like that? Well, let's say your opponent's running a lot of cover 2. Let's say you want to attack the deep middle, and we can go ahead and maybe put some streaks on the outside and an out route. Maybe we'll block our running back. And all of a sudden, we have a route that is literally tailor-made to attack the deep middle of a cover 2. And so, I mean, there's not really going to be any stock route like that in your playbook, but now you can just make it with this easy hot route trick. But now let's talk about some other routes that you could do. We could do this with a flat route. And so let's go ahead and flip our play, hot route them onto a flat route, and now we have an in-breaking flat route, which I know it looks kind of weird, but let's say you just need to get literally 1 yard and you need something shallower than a slant. Well, this flat route is going to cross so shallow that it's borderline impossible for any zone defender to guard it because it's so shallow and so quick. And you've essentially made the shortest and fastest slant in the entire game with your inverted flat route. So that's a really good route. Let's say you want a really big zig route, but the problem is that when you do hot rod zig routes, they're really tiny. They don't really break very deep, and you would rather have a deep zig route. Well, what you can do is you can actually make an inverted return route. And so you can, on the RB receiver, that's what a return route looks like, but let's do an inverted return route. And so let's go ahead and flip the play, put him on a return route, and now we get an inverted return route, which is really just going to be a really big zig route. And I absolutely love a really big zig route like that. And obviously, we'd probably want to do a little bit better route combo for the rest of the players. Maybe we'd want to go ahead and just kind of drive those guys deep because that linebacker kind of played it pretty well. And so obviously, you'd have to like play around with what you want to do with these route combos. But I'm just trying to show you guys the incredible power that you have when you can utilize these inverted hot routes to your advantage. And those three that I just showed you, the inverted slot fade, the inverted flat route, and the inverted return route are some of my favorites. But you are truly limited only by your own creativity when it comes to doing these hot routes, because you could literally do anything. You could have an outbreaking crosser if you wanted to. Here's an outbreaking deep cross. I don't even know if I would want this as opposed to a corner route, but you could totally run an outbreaking deep crosser if you wanted to. Look how quickly he gets to the sidelines. And so you have the freedom to do that if you want. Those are all at your disposal here with this hot route trick. And so I wanted to make sure that you guys knew about this trick because it is a lot of fun to build all sorts of new route combos when you start taking advantage of inverted hot routes. Now, if you're tired of losing games and want to know exactly what plays and adjustments you should be using to start winning, then definitely check out our strategy website, PlaybookProfessor.gg. That's where we have full offensive and defensive game plans that are proven to help players just like yourself win more games. You'll be joining our community of over 1,000 active members, and over 98% of players surveyed said they won more games after signing up. If you want to unlock everything you need to start dominating right now, the link is at the top of the description, and be sure to use code SPRUCE to get 30% off. And now, back to the video. We are breaking down a super glitchy 4-man blitz out of the 4-2-5 over G formation that can come in from either side. And first, I'm going to show you guys what the blitz looks like when it comes in, and then we'll talk about how to set it up. If we go ahead and snap this ball, you're going to see that we're going to get a free edge rusher off the right side for insanely fast pressure on the quarterback. So let's go to the play call screen and talk about what we're doing. So like I said, we're in the formation 4-2-5 over G, which can be found in the 4-2-5 defensive playbook, which is the most common defensive playbook in the entire game. Now the play is going to be LB Blitz, not SSLB Blitz, but LB Blitz, and we want to have auto flip turned off in our coaching adjustments. We'll call LB Blitz, we'll call a play for the offense, and before the snap, the adjustments are going to be to show blitz with linebackers only, which is right on the D-pad, and then RB or R1. And then we're going to shift the D line towards the side that we want to send the blitz from. And so if we're going to shift the line to the right to send the blitz from the right side, we're going to press left on the D-pad and then right on the left stick. And then finally, we're going to slant the D line toward the side we're blitzing from as well. And so we're going to slant the D line right, which is left on the D-pad and right on the right stick. From here, the blitz is set up on the right side, but we can still zone out the left side of the defensive line. And so we're going to just take our user and put him on a mid-read. We're going to take this left side defensive end and just put him in whatever zone you want. And now you're ready to go. And when your opponent snaps the ball, they're going to get absolutely screamed at off that right side edge. And we can look at the replay real quick. I mean, it's pretty fast. There's not a whole lot of time for them to do anything. And what's happening, if we go ahead and look at the replay, you see the center is occupied by that defensive tackle, the guard is occupied by that defensive tackle, and then the tackle here ends up getting occupied by the blitzing linebacker. And as a result, there's just no one to pick up the edge rusher, and he comes in for an easy rush on the quarterback. Now, sometimes it will be the linebacker who comes in free rather than that edge rusher on the right side. But in my testing, the majority of the time, it's the edge rusher who's going to come in free. We can go ahead and snap this again and see that there he is coming in for the easy sack. Now, the best thing about this blitz is that it also works from the other side. Same exact adjustments, just shift and slant in the opposite direction. And so we show blitz with our linebackers, and for some reason, he didn't walk down. And so if he's not walking down, we'll just have to respot the ball right here. That's a pretty rare thing. Most of the time, they should always actually react when you show blitz, but sometimes practice mode glitches out. But we show blitz with our linebackers. This time we will shift our D-line left and slant our D-line left. Then we can zone out the entire right side of the line with our user. And now we have the exact same blitz coming in from the other side. And once again, that is crazy fast pressure on the quarterback. And so this blitz is a ton of fun. I don't love that there is a slight tell in terms of shifting the D-line. So If your opponent is very astute, then they're going to maybe half slide toward the side that you're shifting towards. And so the best way to disguise that is to maybe always shift your line right, but don't always send the blitz. You could run cover 2 man with your line always shifted to the right side and get them really used to the 2-man rush, just like we do out of nickel 3-3 over. And then when they're not keeping any extra blockers in, you can surprise them with the blitz. And then, oh, right there, that was, so we'll still take that. That's how these blitzes work sometimes, is like they'll like pick up what you think is going to come in, and then like a random guy will come in free. This game can be a little bit inconsistent, but I mean, there's the blitz coming in again. So I don't know why it was a different guy who came in that one time. I will say that if you don't want there to be too obvious of a tell, sometimes this blitz works if you just pinch the D line, not even slanting. I don't think it's as good as the other setup, but I have seen it come in, and right there, you see it came in with just pinching the D-line as well. So you can always give that a try if you don't want to have an obvious tell, is when you pinch your D-line, your opponent's probably not going to half slide one way or the other because it doesn't look like you're overloaded on any particular side. But you can see that with pitching, it does work on the right. Now, pinching, it will not come in from the left. If you're going to pinch the D-line, it's only going to come in from the right side. But I wanted to share that blitz with you guys out of the 4-2-5 over G formation because the 4-2-5 playbook is the most common and popular playbook in the entire game. And so I wanted to make sure that if you're running that you had a very, very powerful 4-man blitz that you can run from either side. This is how you can block punts in college football 26. I wasn't sure if this is too toxic of a tip, but I asked in the Discord and you guys said yes, make a video on this tip. And so we're gonna break down right now exactly how to block punts. Now this isn't just a practice mode thing, this works in real games. I blocked 2 punts yesterday. And so in this first clip right here, you can see that we're just gonna come in free, get the punt block, and it's gonna result in a touchdown. And this is my second clip from yesterday, this time against Notre Dame. Once again, we are going to come in completely clean, get the block, and this time my opponent's going to pick it up and actually freeze in the end zone, and it gets us a safety. And our third clip comes from site contributor Red Zone Rocky, and shout out to him because he did help me find this method when we were labbing together, but he was playing a money game in the first week of the year. He was down by 1 point with 18 seconds left, and he did this exact method. He got the block, scored the touchdown, and ultimately won the game. Okay, so we know it works in games, but how do we actually do it? And so let's go into the play call screen and talk about that. So when you're on defense and you see that your opponent calls punt, you're gonna go to special teams, field goal block left, and you're gonna call the play load block left. Now, before you call the play, you may want to make a substitution, and you want to get someone as fast as possible in this spot right here, the second defender from the left. You want someone who is fast and tall right here. So right here, I have Mincy number 12 on Alabama there because he is 91 speed and 6'2". You can only put free safeties, strong safeties, and cornerbacks in this spot. And so what you may need to do is go into your depth chart and look at who your fast players are. So you can go to free safety, strong safety, and cornerback, and you can see, okay, like in this case, we have a 96 speed guy, so I could be using him there. But like I said, I've just been using Mincy, who is 91 speed, and it's still working. Because I know, especially for you guys who are playing cut, or maybe in Dynasty, you have a mid-tier team, not everyone has 96 speed. So I want to show you that it does work with 91 speed as well. Now, if you get down into the 80s in speed, you probably won't quite be able to make it to the punter in time. So 91 speed is my recommended minimum. But like I said, just get into your depth chart, see who you have, who you can put in there. And like I said, if you're using Alabama, then it's going to be Mincy number 12 at 91 speed. That is plenty of speed for us. And so back in the play call screen, we're going to call load block left, and we're going to put the offense in normal punt. Now, if they come out in max protect punt, like if they're over here in shield punt, then this won't work. They have to be in normal punt, but that's what pretty much everyone is going to call. They're going to call punt max cover. Now, it's a very simple technique. When you are out on the field, you're going to get onto that player who is second from the left. You are then going to hold down the right trigger, or R2, the sprint button, and you're going to hold your left stick basically straight down, but maybe ever so slightly cheat to the right. And so I'm going to hold down sprint, hold my left stick straight down, and if you want, you can just cheat it ever so slight to the right. It's like not even quite 5 o'clock. It's almost like 5:30. And you want to just hold that there. You want to just hold it until your opponent kicks the ball. And so I'm using 2 controllers here. So Let me make sure I'm set up and ready to go. You're just going to hold down sprint, hold down the left stick at about like 530. And then when your opponent punts the ball, you're going to come in here, you're going to dive as you get close, and you will almost always get the punt block. And so let's look at the replay there real quick. And as I think you guys know exactly what happened, you've seen all the clips and everything already. But for whatever reason, this second from the left guy gets to come in free. Oh, can I get on him? Can I get on him? Oh, this guy right here. Close enough. Number 12, he gets to come in free at the punter, and he simply will not be blocked. But the left stick angle is very important. Like if you have any outward component on your left stick, it will not work. When you watch your replays, like let's say you try this and it's unsuccessful, if you see this guy run outside at all, it's not going to work. You have to simply trust that this blocker here, this blocker number, number 39, he's not going to pick you up. You'll be able to have a clear, straight angle at the punter. And then when you get close, as you can see, you just want to dive. And sometimes people will punt it at a weird angle. You can see right there that it kind of hit us in the, it hit us in the elbow, I guess. Sometimes people kick it at a weird angle. There's nothing you can do about that. It just is what it is. But if you get into practice mode and you practice this over and over again, you should have a very high success rate. Now, like I said, is it 100%? Not necessarily, simply because people punt at weird angles sometimes. I've had people kind of like, I don't know, freak out. And I don't know if you can actually change the angle of the punt while the rush is coming in, but I've had times where I felt like people were able to just like change the angle of the punt last minute because they had a really bad punt off to the side. So I don't know how that works, but all I know is that with this method, it is coming in every single time, and then it's just a matter of timing it up right. And once you get those reps in practice mode, you're going to get extremely consistent at it. Now, there's one other thing you may be asking. What if my opponent simply audibles into fake punt? So like fake punt, fullback flat. It is totally possible. However, most people are afraid to actually run these plays because it involves their punter having to throw the ball. They're probably getting hit, and I'm willing to take that chance. If your opponent really wants to try to audible into a fake field goal or a fake punt pass and try to get this throw off in time, I'm going to let them. And you know what? Right there, it worked. But too bad for them, there's actually a nerf to fake punts where people used to be able to spam fake punts in the past and they had a really good success rate, and EA didn't know how to fix it. And so they actually introduced a high drop chance on these fake punts. And so even if there's someone open, oftentimes these are going to end up being drops. Obviously, the punter has a low chance of having an accurate pass. And so I'm willing to take this chance every single time because even if you get the throw off, there's a very high chance of that pass being a drop. It's kind of ridiculous that EA did it that way, but it benefits us. And so one last time, if we just hold the left stick straight down, hold down the sprint button, if we go ahead and punt the ball, where it comes straight in and dive, and once again, we get the block. We are breaking down the single best man-beating route in the entire game, which is the shake route. Now, right here, I'm in the play all go in the formation gun empty trio, and I'll put the playbooks that this is in on the screen right now, but you can find shake routes throughout the entire game in all different playbooks and all different formations. Another one of my favorites that I'll put on the screen right now is the play curls Y shake in the formation gun empty Y off trips, and we'll put all the playbooks on the screen right now, but look through your playbook and there's a reasonably good chance that you'll be able to find a shake route, and especially check the empty formations. I think they're in the empty formations more than anything else. And in case you guys can't tell from the playout right here, this route that our left side slot receiver is on, this is the shake route. Now, you do not need to be a good route runner for this. In fact, I have subbed in at this left slot receiver spot a 66 overall running back. This is probably the single worst route runner that the game will let us substitute into this spot right here. And I want to show you guys that even with the worst route runner you can have, this is still going to cook man coverage. And so right here, I have the defense in cover one. What you're going to see when we snap this ball is that not only does he get a little bit of separation, he gets a ton of separation. It's probably more separation than you will ever see somebody get. And it's just kind of insane how good the shake route is. I didn't mean to click stats there. I meant to go to instant replay. Again, this is like the third string running back, and he's out here on a defensive back and just leaving him in the dust. There is something about the way the shake route is coded that you get way better separation against man coverage than any other route in the game. It truly is incredible. And it's not just that it is great against just off man coverage. We can go to cover 2 man and press up, and it's actually pretty good against cover 2 man as well. We go ahead and snap this ball. We can see that he's still going to get really good separation, and that's an easy completion over the middle. And press man coverage for some people is the toughest coverage in the entire game to beat, and the shake route with our 3rd string running back is making easy work of this press man coverage. He's not even really getting pressed. He's shaking him off his route, while everyone else, look at the other side of the field. Everyone over here is getting completely bagged. None of these guys are really open. You can't really throw any of those. Meanwhile, the shake route is over here getting easy separation again with our 3rd string running back. So the shake route is just something I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of, because if you're struggling to beat man coverage, and I'm not really saying that anyone should be struggling too much on offense in this game. It's a very offense-favored game, but the one type of defense that can be very suffocating for people is going to be press man coverage, or really just all types of man coverage. And so if you're struggling against man coverage or press man coverage, then try to find a play with a shake route, because as you can see, literally anyone can completely fry man coverage, and it's just going to make your life 1,000 times easier on the offensive side of the ball. We are breaking down why cover 3 match is the best coverage in the entire game for shutting down flood concepts. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone knows what a flood concept is, but just as a quick refresher, a flood concept is a route combo that attacks the short, medium, and deep sideline on one side of the field. And so right here, we're flooding the left sideline with our flat route, our corner route, and our streak. And these can be very tough to guard, especially in our standard coverages like cover 3 or cover 4. And so right here with a shaded down cover 3, we're going to have the corner route wide open with a pass lead down for an easy completion on the outside. And so if you don't know how to guard flood concepts, it can be an absolute nightmare. And of course, if you want to use drop zone coverage, then you can do things like, okay, you can shade down to take away the hard flat. You can take this linebacker here and put him in a curl flat. And now you have a Mabel concept, and that's really great for if your opponent floods the sideline. But if they don't flood the sideline and this linebacker still drops out to the sideline, now you've left the entire middle of the field wide open. And so is there a way we can have the best of both worlds, where we have flood concepts guarded if it's a flood concept, but if it's not a flood concept, we can still guard over the middle? And cover 3 match is the answer for that. And so right here, this cover 3 match is in the formation nickel 3-3 mint. We'll go into the play call screen really quick. And you can find this in any 4 down lineman set. It doesn't have to be 3-3 mint. We could have done this in nickel 2-4 as well. Doesn't really make a difference. We just want to have 4 down linemen rushing and then cover 3 match in the back. And we don't want to have any zone drops on. If you have any zone drops on, it turns off your match coverage. So these all need to be on default. So we'll call 3-3 mint. And then in trips tight end, we can call the play flood. Doesn't really matter. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. There we go. We'll call flood. And we'll set up a flood concept. We'll simply do a corner route. It's pretty common to have a backside dig, so something like that. So in cover 3 match, what is really awesome is that you're going to see, in this particular case, where it's the middle trips receiver going vertical on the corner route, the seam flat is going to match onto him extremely well, and then the hook curl is actually going to match the flat extremely well. And so whatever side has the 3 receiving threats, and you're worried about the flood concept on that side, you want to be using the backside hook curl. You don't want to use it with this hook curl. You want to let him match on to whatever he needs to match onto. So go ahead and snap this. You're going to see that the flat gets matched onto, the corner route is matched onto, and it's completely covered. Look how easy that was. And then we just have to use the backside dig. Look at that. The seam flat is, there's seam flat is all over the corner route. But then, like I said, the linebacker and the hook curl is all over the flat route. So far, so good. But let's say they flip it. Let's say instead of running the middle receiver on the corner route, let's say they put the inside receiver on the corner route and the middle receiver on the flat route. Now it's completely flipped. Turns out we're still going to get incredible matching. In this case, the slot cornerback in the seam flat is going to match onto the flat route, and then our linebacker in the hook curl is going to match onto the corner route. If we go ahead and snap this ball, you're going to see that we have everything completely covered, and you see that we have the nice pass breakup, and sometimes if that's a little more athletic linebacker, that can even be an interception. And so I was just blown away when I was running cover 3 match. I was like, oh, this is really easy. Like, you don't have to make any adjustments to this. We have the flat route completely covered. We have the corner route completely covered. I mean, the linebacker might be a little bit slower, but he's still there to make the play. And then we just have to user the backside. This would be our user here, the guy standing around, and we would just user that backside dig. And so that shows us how cover 3 match is so good against flood concepts and trip sets. But what if your opponent was in something like a 2x2 set? Like, what if we took this middle receiver and motioned him over? I was like, would cover 3 match still work really well on the short side of the field with this type of flood concept? And so the first thing is, remember, you don't want to use it with the hook curl on the side of the flood concept. So now that there's 3 receiving threats on the right side of the quarterback, we would want to be usering with this backside hook curl right here and looking for anything coming over the middle. Maybe your opponent does something like that, and we'd be just using whatever comes to the backside. I was like, would this still be really great coverage on the short side? If we go ahead and snap this ball, you see that we still get perfect matching across the board. Absolutely perfect matching. We'll get the replay real quick, and you can see that it's pretty much the same thing we saw on the trip side and trips tight end. Right here, we have the seam flat, who is all over the shallow tight end corner route. Super tight coverage here. This is the hook curl linebacker. He's going to come down and have the running back flat route with absolutely nowhere to go. And this, of course, would be our user. We would just guard the backside dig route. And so if you're struggling with flood concepts, if you have an opponent who is just attacking the sidelines, and if you're not comfortable with switch stick, and because switch stick is one of the better ways to undercut those flood concepts, if you just need a simple coverage that absolutely bags flood concepts, then cover 3 match in any 4 down lineman set is the coverage you want. As you can see, it doesn't matter which player is going on the corner route and which player is going on the underneath route. They're going to match correctly either way. And so cover 3 match is something that I'm definitely going to be looking into further. Of course, it has weaknesses. Every coverage has weaknesses. But seeing how well this guards flood concepts makes me think that I'm going to be using cover 3 match a lot more on the defensive side of the ball. This is a super cool secret blocking tip that can help make your run game way better. We are going to be using the untarget defender mechanic in the run game. And so before we go into how to use that mechanic, I first want to show you this simple inside zone in the formation gun wing pair. And I want us to look at the blocking assignments of this play. So I'm going to hold down the left trigger, or L2, and I'm going to point my right stick straight to the left, and it's going to show the different blocking assignments. And so you can see that right now, there is no one blocking either of the safeties. We're basically going to try and get through the first and second level, and we'll just deal with the safeties when we get there. So when we snap this ball, we can see that fortunately we're able to spring a big gain, but that safety did eventually tackle us. And so it was a solid gain, but that safety being there prevented us from scoring a touchdown. Now, let's talk about how the untarget defender mechanic could have turned that run from a 15-20 yard gain into a touchdown. So let's talk about the untarget defender mechanic. So in your pass protection menu, I know this is a run, but it's still the pass protection menu. You hold down LB or L1 to pull that up. And if you look at the bottom of the menu, if you press Y or a triangle, that is the untarget defender mechanic. And people are usually using this for picking up blitzes when a user is trying to mug a gap. But you can also use it in the run game as well. And so in this particular case, a defender who we'd want to untarget would be a defender who realistically wouldn't be able to make a play on the running back anyway. And so in this case, it's going to be the right side edge rusher. And so if I press Y in this case, it's going to pull up this yellow triangle with this flame icon on it. I'm going to go over to the right side edge rusher right here and select him, because realistically, we're running from right to left. If he gets left unblocked, he's still not really going to be a threat in the run game. And so we have now untargeted that right side edge rusher. And I know it puts the M above his head. It's kind of just a glitch in the game, but we did untarget him. And so if we look at the blocking assignments once again, hold down left trigger L2, and then point your right stick straight to the left. Now you can see he is no longer targeted. And more importantly, look who is targeted. Now, that right side safety, the one who made the tackle on our first run play that could have been a touchdown if we didn't get tackled, he is now getting targeted by our inside tight end. And so if we run this play again and we spring it and we get past the first and second level, now that safety is going to be guarded, or not guarded, he's going to be blocked and we can take it for a touchdown. So if we go ahead and snap this ball once again, we can hopefully squeeze through this hole here. And this time you can see we got a lot further and almost took it for the touchdown. And that time the safety got blocked. And so it was the outside cornerback that time who eventually made the play. Remember, this was the safety who made the tackle before. And now because we untargeted defender, now he is getting blocked. And so it looks like it was just this outside cornerback who ended up making the tackle super late. But you can see that we had way more running than before. We got down to the 1 or 2 yard line. And so is this tip going to turn bad runs into great runs? Not necessarily, but it can help you get the very most out of your runs, because whenever you have a defender on the backside of a play like this right side defensive end, you really don't need to block him. You can go ahead and untarget him. It doesn't matter if he's unblocked, because, I mean, what's the point of blocking him? There's no reason to. And that time we take it for a touchdown. And you can see once again, look at the defensive end right here. He's going to come through unblocked because guess what? It doesn't matter if we block him. We're running over here. He's completely out of the play. And so by doing that, you gain an extra blocker. And now, like we saw before, it's number 83 right here. If I can get on him, there we go. 83 now gets the block on this safety who wasn't getting blocked before. And now we burst through the hole and we are taking it all the way for a touchdown. And so that is how we can use the untarget defender mechanic to get the very most out of our run game in College Football 26. We are breaking down the most overpowered route in the entire game, which is the comeback route. If you start utilizing comeback routes more in your games, you will move the ball easier than ever before. Comeback routes get open against literally every coverage, and we're going to talk about exactly why in this video, and then also talk about how you can defend comeback routes if you're facing them when you're on defense. And so to start, let's just talk about how comeback routes do against zone coverage. And so right here, we're going to have a shaded down cover 3 against our comeback route on the left side. And we're going to see that this comeback route is going to get wide open. And in this case, it is helped to get even more open because of the streak from our receiver in the slot on the left side. But even without a streak pulling it deep, you're going to see that one-on-one, an outside third defender will not be able to guard a comeback route. You can still throw it with a pass lead down, and that's an easy completion. Now, a little tip about throwing comeback routes in college football, which doesn't really apply to Madden, is that you want to put your comeback routes on the short side of the field. Because in college football, the hash marks are so wide, when you throw comeback routes to the wide side, while they are still throwable, they're a much tougher throw. And so right here, just really quick, I want to look at this comeback route on the wide side of the field. And you're going to see that it's not going to be nearly as open as our throw to the short side because the ball spends so much longer in the air. Now, actually right there, that's kind of the best case scenario. And so in that case, obviously it worked out. But in general, I would say I've had a lot more success throwing comeback routes to the short side. And so in that case, again, maybe we just have a great receiver out there and he got the separation anyway. But in general, my strong recommendation is going to be to have your comeback routes on the short side because it's such a shorter throw compared to throwing to the wide side. But that zone coverage, let's look at man coverage. We can audible to cover one hole, and we're going to see that once again, these comeback routes absolutely cook man coverage. Again, you're just going to kind of pass lead it down and outside on the break. And right there, our guy kind of had a weird little hitch in his break. I don't know why he did that. We can go ahead and run it one more time though. And as long as we just pass lead this ball down and outside, you can see that it's an easy completion along the sideline. So we looked at zone coverage, looked at match coverage, or looked at man coverage. Now we can talk about match coverage. And match coverage can be an interesting one because some people really struggle versus match coverage. We had someone in our Discord just today talk about how they were struggling against someone who was only running match coverage. Well, it turns out you can just use a comeback route against match coverage as well. This is cover 4 quarters. We're going to see right here that it's still going to get wide open underneath the cornerback in the outside quarter zone. And this is going to be super consistent. Call any match coverage you want. The comeback route is going to win every time. Here it is one more time, cover 4 quarters. You can see he gets the inside leverage with his possession catch along the sideline. That is an easy completion. They will even get open. By the way, there's one other type of coverage we haven't really looked at, which is going to be pressed man coverage or jamming man coverage. So think like cover 2 man. It is even going to get open when your opponent is jamming you at the line and they're shading underneath. And so we're going to have probably a pretty tough time getting an initial release off the line because this cornerback is going to jam us. But despite that, we're still going to get this separation on the comeback route and have enough space to make the possession catch along the sidelines. And so comeback routes can get open against literally any type of coverage. And so I am simply here to, hopefully this is just serving as a reminder to you guys. Hopefully everyone is already using comeback routes, but if you're not using comeback routes, start using comeback routes because they literally get open against every type of coverage. Now, there is, of course, the question, how are you going to defend comeback routes if your opponent is running them against you? And there's really two things you can do. You can either use a curl flat or a purple zone, or you can use a blue flat zone. And so if you want to use a purple zone to guard these comeback routes, you're going to want to put them on a 15-yard zone drop and then call really any play that has purple flats. So we could call cover 4 quarters if we want to. But what's going to happen is that this purple flat is going to be in the perfect spot to guard this comeback route. And so if we go ahead and snap the ball, we're going to see that that slot cornerback is going to stand exactly where that comeback route is going to go, and that's going to be an easy interception. If you have default zone drops on, if you don't actually set your zone drops, then there's no guarantee that these purple flats will actually guard the comeback route. Like if we were to go ahead and go on default, but then run something like cover 3 sky, what you're going to see, if I can find that same formation as before, let me get back. I think we were in gun spread right here. What you're going to see is that a default curl flat can get manipulated a lot more easily. And in this case, he's going to get pulled inside by the slot receiver. And so he's not actually going to guard outside where he should be. And it's going to be an easy completion to the comeback route. And so please, if you're on defense trying to guard these comeback routes, put your curl flats on 15-yard zone drops. Now, the one other way to defend these is going to be with cloud flats. And so if we just call a stock Tampa 2 right here, we don't need to use any zone drops for this, although you of course can if you want to, but the stock cloud flat is going to do a great job of guarding this comeback route as well. And we're going to see right here that when he makes his break and we try to throw the comeback route, it looks like the D-line shed, but you can see that the cloud flat is going to be a really good spot to guard it. We'll go ahead and try this one more time, see if we have time to actually make the throw. But you're going to see that the cloud flat is just going to be in perfect position to get the interception. So if you're on defense trying to guard these comeback routes, then just use a 15-yard curl flat or a default cloud flat from an outside corner, and you will have these completely covered. Now, there's one more thing we have to talk about with comeback routes, and that is the stemmed up comeback route. Because if your opponent is using a cloud flat to guard these comeback routes, you might think that, oh, you're completely toast, but that's not the case. We can use stemmed up comeback routes to counter these cloud flat adjustments or these 15-yard curl flat adjustments. And so we can custom stem by pressing the hot route button, selecting the receiver, hold down LB or L1, and then we can go 2 clicks up on the D-pad. And now look how deep that comeback route is. It's a little bit weird, but trust me guys, this is a really, really nice adjustment if you have the time to make the throw. And go ahead and snap the ball. And this time you're going to see that comeback route is going to get so deep that he's going to get over top of that cloud flat and underneath this deep half safety, and that's an easy completion. And what's great about these stemmed up comeback routes is they also work against man coverage as well. So if you find yourself in like a 3rd and 20 or a 4th and 20, you can use these as well. We can do the comeback route once again. We'll stem it up, in this case, 2 clicks on the D-pad, and go ahead and snap the ball. And as long as we have time to throw in the pocket, you can still throw these comeback routes and complete massive, massive completions. If I ever find myself in like a 4th and 20, sometimes I'll just max protect. I'll block 2 guys, and I'll send out stemmed up comeback routes on both sides of the field because they just have that good of a chance of getting open super, super deep. And so hopefully nothing in this video was completely groundbreaking, but I wanted to make it because I've been getting some questions lately about people saying they're having troubles against certain types of coverages. And I hope everyone can drill into their minds that comeback routes are going to be viable against almost any type of coverage that your opponent throws at you. So please start incorporating comeback routes into your game more, and I promise you'll have a ton of success on offense. So those are 7 advanced tips that will help you win way more games in college football 26. Now, if you're looking for even more ways to improve your game, I strongly recommend checking out this video right here, where I break down 7 huge mistakes that every player makes in college football 26. Fix those mistakes, and I promise you'll see yourself win more games.